Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Tonight we're going to be covering a little bit about what had occurred in the Indiana case regarding Richard Allen and the homicides of Abby and Libby. And also, while you're here and in chat, if you're new to the channel, be respectful of family, mods, and each other. And we don't use any names. We limit the initials as much as possible, but absolutely be mindful of naming anyone unless they've been spoken about within a document or search warrant, or such as Kagan Klein, Ron Logan, Richard Allen. But anyway, like I said, welcome. And before we get started, of course, if you have any information regarding this case, absolutely make sure that law enforcement has that information, or the prosecution or the defense, for the fact that for justice to be found for Abby and Libby, all the information has to be out there and up front. For as Richard Allen, who stands accused and is accused until proven guilty, but the probable cause affidavits and everything indicate that there was enough information to not only arrest him, but to search his residence. And as we move forward through this trial, as I was watching some other creator shows today, there was a lot of great surprise when they saw the continuance. And but I had faith as I was watching some of the shows, and I appreciated some of the hosts and hostesses as far as hoping everything would come to pass and the trial would go smoothly, and everybody would play nice within the courtroom setting. And of course, we know that is an impossibility, that this is probably one of the most divided courtrooms as far as each poll, from the state side to the defense, and even with the judge involved in it, of the issues that are occurring every time. And we have to be mindful right now, out of the presence of the jury, we can have some little issues. There can be anger management problems and things, and we can see, whereas there will be, that the judge may be a little bit more lenient. But when there's a jury eventually seated, that will not be the case. And so we have to think, what is the strategy of the defense to keep pushing buttons, and also even from the judge's standpoint of, is she pushing buttons of the defense? And, is the prosecution and the defense also, by not communicating and making it the appearance of difficulties between their communications, that it's just something I have never seen in my career, and I would expect better of the courts that I'm familiar with. I don't believe that we would see things like that happen. But anyway, also, before we get too far into this, I also created a lineup. Now, as pictures, whenever you're creating a lineup, you try to get people that are similar in appearance and share some characteristics, and you get to, from that lineup, decide, is there anyone of suspect that's possibly within this lineup? And of course, each of y'all choose, do y'all see anyone that possibly is familiar? And I bring this up in jest for the fact that I don't think I've ever seen an individual in a 7-year period have as many different looks. Even prior to his arrest, the bottom two on the right, those two, from when the timeline of one of them being taken to the next. But it's just absolutely amazing, the different appearances of this individual. And if you look at the latest one, he's starting to have or take on similarities to his defense attorneys, Baldwin. Is that going to be something that they, as part of a strategy of possibly confusing a witness, is he going to be looking like one of the attorneys? It's absolutely amazing, but to me, I see a resemblance between him and Baldwin. That's just my 2 cents. But we're going to be talking about what is the strategy of the defense, and we've had 2 years for the defense to come up with and prove, not that the defense has to prove anything, but they say that they're willing and waiting and that to take this to trial to prove his innocence. And like I said, they don't have to prove anything. The state has to prove that he's guilty. I understand that. But in 2 years, it looks like you would be able to easily have that speedy trial, bring up your facts that, hey, guys, it's simple. Richard Allen's innocent. These are the points. Nothing you have can change the truth of the matter. And we don't have that. You know, they're saying that everything that the state is bringing is lies, from the bullets, it's corruption, it's everything is lies against Richard Allen, and that law enforcement totally stacked the deck. And I don't believe that's the case. I really don't. It's often that you'll have groups of individuals that will point fingers and things, but not in this case. But what do y'all think about this? Have y'all ever seen an individual go through this many phases? And we're only talking about 18, 3 of these images are in 18 months. So it's absolutely amazing, even in those 18 months of what he's looked like. And I don't have his original booking picture when he was first picked up, although the top middle was pretty close. But anyway, let me get back. What did I do? All right, let's get back to that one. All right. But like I said, what's going on in the court right now and the people that are arguing and everything, I don't appreciate, and I don't think anyone out there likes to see what's going on within the court system when people are making threats or intimidations, and it's not right for any of them. And so what will it take to correct it? When that jury gets in panel, there'll have to be some absolutely code of conduct laid out and how it's going to happen. Before we get too far, let's see what's happening in chat. Bama Sins here. Olivia 2. Sensei is here. Good to see you. Teresa the Troll. Excellent name. Delphi Dummies, another great name. Oh, me. Boston Kristen, good to see you. Brenda, excellent. Crushing on LA. Hi, Mr. Steve, Mrs. Steve in chat. Mrs. Steve is in Florida. I'll be leaving shortly, heading down there myself, spend some time with Mrs. Steve and the baby Steve and double alt, triple alt. Josh the Posh, good to see you. Brandon, Demead, Jill, Rob Lee. Just if y'all got any questions, throw them in there. Dwayne's Prospecting Adventures. Hello, how you doing? D. Martison, good to see you. Just want to check, make sure I'm getting too far behind if there's any questions, because it's sometimes. Nan R, I'm so late. No, you're not late. Alan Hinkle, good to see you. Emerald City. And this is the thing that whenever, the defense has a strategy, is the defense pushing buttons of the prosecutor and the judge somewhat. And for the fact that how can you say that we want a speedy trial and then complain that you don't have enough time? And, I jested earlier on another show that maybe the defense will give us a brief outline in 128 pages of explaining speedy trial and lack of time, and which one do they want. And because it's absolutely amazing. You can't have everything. He's entitled to a fair trial, and you do have some input in it, but, don't put the court in a position and box them in and not give them any out. And the court's not going to allow that. The state Supreme Court's not going to allow that. And so do I think that at the end of this trial it will see the final issues? No, I think even after this trial is over, there's going to be some ramifications. Hey, Fig, good to see you. Fig is the grand poobah of all leakers I see. Oh, man, great video. But I agree, you have to, when they throw you under the bus and assault your character and your, you have to every now and then stand up, take up for yourself, and put it on the table. And Fig did. I appreciated that last video. Stay pressed. Good to see you. Kryptonite Sleuth. Kryptonite Sleuth. And Shelly. Y'all's names. Mustang 65. Hey, Mr. Steve, I'm surprised that the trial was postponed not. And I'm not either. And I don't even think it's going to get done this year. Hopefully by next year we'll have some movement in the trial. But I don't even see October, especially with the defense coming up with, that they don't even know if they will be able to put up a defense in 15 days. And makes no sense, because the defense doesn't have to prove anything. And other than, it'd be, if you have an alibi, of course, that proves that he's not the one responsible. And how would law enforcement know that the person they're going to arrest has a firearm that matches the bullet at the crime scene, knows that he doesn't have an alibi, and knows that he says that he was there at the scene at the time? So there's a lot of things that from the interviews, and I'm hoping that even through his confessions, that there were some statements made that when played in court, because I know that there's some new evidence, and I haven't checked with Fig yet to see if it's been released to him. All the new sealed documents, I got to get with him. But, he would have access to anything. I can tell you what Fig did. Fig took intel that he had gathered from other sources, news media, the defense attorneys themselves, from court documents, and he took that pieces of intel and built an extremely accurate report. And nothing that when you watch his video, pay attention to that you take clues, and that is a great mind. Fig would have been a great investigator. I give him props for that. That he, of course, there was some key information that, when law enforcement is out seizing firearms from other potential suspects, that it and taking them and testing a 40 caliber firearm, that it's not a great leap of faith, knowing that law enforcement doesn't do anything without a purpose. They don't seize things that have nothing to do with the crime scene, the trial, or a suspect. So anytime you see something that is seized or taken, it always, there's a strategy behind it for law enforcement. There's a purpose of it. And Fig was able to piece that together. So I have to give him props for that. And Shelly, Ruckus Rocks, how you doing? And Sharon Parker. Witchcraft. And Ziggy says they're just dragging it out, and I would believe that is probably the case. All right, let me go in here. All right. But yes, when we get a jury impaneled or it gets to the point when they're doing voir dire, you're not going to be able to have these court issues. You can't have where anyone, you know, or you'll have a mistrial. And we can't have that, and we don't want that. No one wants that. And so on this, I spoke earlier, or I sent a message to Ruckus, and we were discussing mistrial or plea deal, or is this part of some type of defensive strategy to put the court and the prosecutor in a bind, realizing that no way in the world will ever be able to process through the court system about some type of danger or possibly a mistrial? And are they trying to some way of getting a plea deal? For the fact there is a possibility that the direction that we are going is that this is as close as I've ever got to agreeing with Ruckus on a plea deal. That the defense attorneys and their behavior and their antics, it's through frustration that you get angry, and it's through frustrations that you do things that you normally wouldn't do during a trial. And we've seen that time and time again with the defense attorneys. And it's through these frustrations of not being able to defend their client, and their client has put them in a position of absolutely climbing a sheer cliff wall that has never been climbed before. Because I don't think I have ever seen a client of any type of crime do more to work and get convicted than what Richard Allen has done. Everything that you would expect for a client and for someone standing accused to have done, if Richard Allen had a bingo card that had all the things and all the mistakes that a offender could make, if he is the one responsible for this crime, he won the bingo. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I'll give also a shout out to Ruckus that while I've always doubted that there would be a plea deal, I'm beginning to see that it may edge more towards that than and closer to that than ever before. Let's see here. And the courtroom chaos, like I said, we just can't have that. And what can we do to fix it? And I don't know, but something's going to have to come, because you can't have attorneys demanding that either you do this, judge, or we're going to file another motion to have you recused. Courtroom antics like that are just unacceptable, and our courts can't be allowed to be manhandled by anyone, defense, prosecution, defendants, or otherwise. And we've seen where there's a lot of defendants. There's other trials in the last year, especially with some of the sovereign citizens, of where they would push the judge and absolutely, have to be removed from the courtroom. Is that going to be something that happens here? It's possible. But the trial date has been rescheduled to run from October to November. Do I think that's going to happen in 2024? No, I don't. I was hoping it would happen for May, but like I said, I've always had my doubts. I always thought that October and November is a little bit early too. I hope it happens, because the quicker we get justice for these girls, the better it is for the families. Because think about it, guys, the families are under such pressure and continue to be put under this pressure that I wouldn't wish upon anyone. I mean, how could you? All right. Let's see, get back in the chat here for a few minutes. CJK's here. The Mead. And I'll give you this, Alan. Sloppy investigation, yes. Corruption, no. I will agree that some of it probably, if the bullet was missed, and I don't know if it was, that yes, something happened at the crime scene. Although there's evidence that, have I missed evidence in my processing? Absolutely. And have I had to go back and get it? Absolutely. But there's reasons for that. And but same with this. If the bullet, they're just going to have to suck it up and take it, whatever it is. If it's the recordings, am I disappointed that, that much of the other, persons of interest during interviews, recordings were lost and caused this issue? Sure. And hopefully they've corrected that. Hopefully they've hired somebody that has fixed all that. But it still does not give the law enforcement a full pass on it, and they'll pay for it on the stand. Some of those guys are going to have a few hot questions and a few hours of intense questioning, because while the prosecution, of course, won't be showing any mistakes, the defense, they will hammer it until the judge tells them to stop. Just like we saw when you watch Fig's video, you're going to get to see a little pre-show of what will happen when the defense brings or attempts to cross-examine or interview any witness. If they start doing stuff like that, you're going to see McClellan stand up and say, Your Honor, I object. And you got to have proof of fact, or you got to have some relevancy of your questions to the case, or you're going to see a lot of things. So Fig's video will, when you read the transcripts and as he speaks and talks about that, when the judge was sustaining the objections of that, we're going to see a lot of that if that occurs from this defense. Yeah, he's looking. CJK says he's looking more and more like BG, in my opinion. Other older guy, yes, I would think so. But we'll see where it goes with it. BGOG, good to see you. But like I said, I would, if you told me that this was the same man, I would probably make you prove it. Because I have, it's absolutely amazing of different, if you look, of course, have I changed over the years? Yeah, I'm 60 years old now. But still, at least from my younger pictures, I think I'm relatively recognizable. Or at least Mrs. Steve, every time she sees me, she recognizes it's me. Pamela Goodson, good to see you. Says, I know how bad I am at recognizing people, but this one surprises me. Yeah, I would have never thought all these are the same. Bama Sen says, that's why I asked last show if his appearance changed after seeing video and drawing. I don't have any images of that time span in 2017 on Facebook, because now are those images out there somewhere? Will people possibly, but that was part of of the profile. That is always part of it. Do you know someone that has possibly looks like this, or may have changed their appearance lately, mannerisms, left town? Those are all standard law enforcement steps of whenever they're asking the news media to assist them. And I think we saw that with the FBI when they were first talking about the profile on Richard Allen. Carol says rules and regulations are thrown right out the window. It appears so. It's absolutely. I cannot imagine any judge that I have ever stood in front of allowing some of the antics that have gone on in this case. Don't see it. True Crime Web, do you think that girl would be the judge for this case in October? I think she'll be here till October, absolutely, and I think they will. I think the Supreme Court that with the way that the adjustments have been made, um, and that it will. I think so. I It's a close call, but I do believe so for the fact that um, how long would it take another judge and with another judge? Because I don't understand what all it would take about a new trial judge coming in and keeping pace and setting order in the court. For the fact that I don't think it depends. I don't think you could have any judge that the defense is going to be happy with. And so I think Gull is about as good as it's going to get for them. And so I will say, yeah, she'll stay there until the end of the trial. But she survived one round with the Supreme Court. So surviving that, I don't think that they're going to address it again if there's no other missteps. And there's no missteps now. The issue that originally occurred has been corrected. And but these attorneys are showing contempt. Alan Hinkle, do you think this makes him look more guilty? No, I really don't. Looks of inmates, they change all the time. Now, if I was a lay person and not law enforcement, because I saw so many cases where criminals, their whole purpose of when they were prepping for trial was to absolutely change their appearance, especially if they were in a lineup and that there was witnesses, for the fact that you wanted a witness that when they were asked to identify the offender, if it was an eyewitness, you wanted that, the defense wants that witness to hesitate and not say, oh, right there. And sometimes it works, but not often, but sometimes it will. But some of them are shocking that if you looked at some of these trials, when they dress a guy up, you can't hardly tell some of these offenders from attorneys. They get cleaned up, dressed up, and haircuts. And like I said, if you dress up Richard Allen and put him in a suit and set him right beside Baldwin, I think I would hesitate just for a second. Yes, it was October, and then they speedy trial and send it back, and now they're going back again. CJK, when you've been in the courtroom, have you seen defense attorneys being so rude to the judge? Their disrespect towards Judge Gull is disgusting, in my opinion. Wouldn't even address her as Your Honor. No, and I've seen judges absolutely tell attorneys to go have a seat and maintain their presence in the court until they're excused. And it's never a good day for an attorney to sit there, but they have no choice. Bailiffs are there, sheriff is there. They're going to make sure that whatever the judge orders will be followed through with, because inside that courtroom, they are the ones that control that environment, and they do so, or at least the judges I was acquainted with. Never seen anything like this. Because I think it was Frank that said that they thought that the judge was going to hold him in contempt today. Hello, Gail. Good to see you. True Crime Time. Good to see you. Fig says that he's here for a few more minutes. Good. Copper Horse. Good to see you as always. Just check and see if I'm. Sorry, I'm late. Listen to Chris. He stole Steve's walking stick. He has several. When we went and worked code cases and on the Dior, I outfitted him with some equipment so that he can use on other cases also. So he's got more than just my walking stick, or not mine, but the foundation. And I'm glad that he's out there looking for these missing persons. It's absolutely a great thing that he does. The judge can't say no to a continuance. I guess they could, but you know, is there an appeal possibility for that? Probably so. And so it's safer to do this. And I actually believe that this benefits the prosecution, because we've already seen that from the witness list for the prosecution coming from 100 down to 40 or so, and getting everything. And should new evidence be developed, should DNA be found, because there's always that possibility that they have articles from that crime scene. They have the clothing. They have, you know, all different types of samples that have been recovered. They have things from Richard Allen's residence. There's always the possibility that if it hasn't been discovered yet, it can be discovered at any time through testing. And so time is on the side of the prosecutor, and if they're ready to go now, it can only get better for them. Just going through the chat real quick. Like I said, don't want to. Thank you, Steve. You explained it better than I could. Yes, that's what I did. No secret sources for me. If I had a source, I wouldn't get things wrong, which I do. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of intel, and he would have been a great analyst. And he is a great analyst. That's part of his career, that you take certain key points, little nuggets, and you weave together a story. And like I said, if you understand, law enforcement doesn't do anything by chance. That they always have a strategy, especially when the further you get into an investigation, and out of nowhere they start seizing or obtaining firearms for certain people that are persons of interest. It means one thing: there's something to do with a firearm. Gail Hurd gifted 1 True Crime Web membership. Thank you, Gail. Appreciate that. A1 Way Street. And Emerald City, $5 super sticker. Thank you. Teresa the Troll says, thank you, Gail Hurd, for the memberships. Yes, and I want to thank all our members for the fact that our members allow us to go out and do things. Everyone that supports our channel, either through donations, memberships, all of that, plus the donations to the foundation, it allows us to be able to go out and work these cold cases. And just like we did back in 2023, you know, we traveled, 19,000 miles last year working cold cases. I'm going to do more than that this year. I've already went 6,300 this year. Got a big trip planned, probably all the way out to California coming up in the next few weeks on everything from working some cold cases to gathering some eDNA for a study. So we thank everyone that supports this channel and everything that they do for us. But like I said, MRC, thank you for that. It means a lot to us. Debbie Orlando, good to see you. Sharon Evers says, I do think that Richard Allen looks healthier now. Yeah, he does. I don't know what photo lighting it was, but he appears to even have some color. I don't know if he's been out on the if they have any exercise yards. But other than the picture in the top right, that's the only one that really shows any type of possible issue with stress, mental, physical. But most certainly, the one over here on the far left is far better and healthier. I would agree. Let's see here. Remove. And here are some little quips that we see from the judge, from the attorneys, and you know, like I said, you know, where girl says, if you can't try this case in a month, there's something wrong. Do I agree that the judge should say that? Not really. I think that's something that would probably been better just to hold to herself, and maybe have questioned it. What should you consider? How much time should I allow you? And let them come up with some ridiculous number or not. And then, of course, Rosie about Allen sits in that hole and new evidence is presented daily and all this. And then, of course, McClellan filed a motion that's under seal that's pretty incriminating, which I find extremely interesting. What is it? What's the new incriminating that has to be sealed? I'm hoping it's something to do with the interview, and that he mentioned something, said something that might possibly link him more so to BG than anything else that we know of to this point. And I expect that's the case. And that's just my personal opinion and speculation. But the argument between McClellan and the court and Rosie, that you know, he anticipates that the you know, I mean, I don't care how much evidence they can bring all the evidence until the cows come home. I mean, what kind of statement is that? You know, so nobody's playing nice within the courtroom. Sad. It really is sad, guys. I hate any court to come in and be in this position. All right. Brandon says plea deal, 100%. I'm closer to that than I've ever have. Took you 10 minutes. No, we appreciate it. No, I've never done one. The Google machine is smarter than I. CJK says, I truly don't think his attorneys have been honest with him. Could be wrong, could be right. They've seen the evidence and they've got to be nervous. I believe so. I believe they're frustrated, and no large part are they happy with Richard Allen for the fact that, you know, he's done everything he can to get convicted. Amber says, Richard Allen's best option would be to go to trial because everything done in this case guarantees a mistrial or overturned by appeal. Possible. Yeah, I think there is. There is that high risk of that. So I can see your side of that, no doubt. Teresa says, Mr. Steve, why do you suppose Rosie acted so badly? I was shocked. I was actually surprised because I took up for him when he stood up in defense of Baldwin. And because he had a calm demeanor about himself during that situation, more so than anyone else way back then when they stepped down. And like I said, I praised Rosie over that. But some of the things that happened today, I think it's just out of sheer frustration. And oh my goodness, we're in a position now that not only is the court against us, the state's against us, Richard Allen's against us, that we're we're getting on a path that leads to nowhere, and the speedy trial, that which I never thought that really that the speedy trial would come to pass, but I was hoping. But oh, okay, Gail. I thought you were talking about the walking sticks that we used up in when Chris and I went to Dior's case, and we had some equipment that we used. I didn't know that you had bought some other walking sticks, but we can't let Ruckus have walking sticks. I'd have to carry his walking sticks. I carry everything else for Ruckus. Might as well carry his walking sticks. And I think that this will come to pass. It may not be pre-trial, but I think somewhere at some point there will be a some type of calling to justice moment. Witchcraft, because Rosie is a. But I was surprised. Periwinkle. Boost Mobile, it's a real shame they put back the trial dates, praying for their family. Absolutely. The roller coaster ride that they've been on for all these years, and then this is occurring. I just can't imagine. He stole Steve's hat. Like I said, he's got plenty. I can't say he's got plenty of equipment, but he's got some equipment. And now he's got more equipment. I'll have to stop by as I pass through whenever I'm heading out west. I'll see if he'll share. It's been too many years for another crime scene search, right? The crime scene itself, probably so. But you never know. I mean, could there be other evidence somewhere? Sure. Could there be something in the creek? Absolutely. Because there's some items that are missing. Could they be there somewhere? Possible. But will they ever be found? Who knows? And but it's never too late for a search. But we'll just have to see. I don't think they will be going back. Brandon says a perfect investigation would be phenomenal, but that's never going to happen. No, it's not. Mistakes. We all make mistakes, guys. When you're sitting there at a crime scene and you've got pressure, because there is pressure that sometimes you don't know who that victim is, and you know that you have an offender on the street, and we have to get to that victim to see if we can find their identity first and foremost. And you've, of course, also when you're there, you have to find out for proof of life. And if there's life that can be saved, we take those measures. But we have to identify that victim. And sometimes it's as easy as getting a wallet, class ring. There's a lot of different ways, or, a set of keys, and what key, which car does this key go with, and you can get a tag number. There's a lot of different ways sometimes identifying victims. It's not always open and shut. The defense isn't ready and blame go. Maybe if they focused on discovery instead of leaking, they would be ready. Yes, they had to be at a point in the case when they first requested the speedy trial that, oh, we're here. We're 95% ready. We only got a few things left to do because we're going to be going to trial within whatever the time frame in Indiana for the speedy trial was. And they should have been that, they can't say that, oh, we were at 10% and we thought that we'd catch up 90%. You would think that they were majority well towards their case and being able to present a defense. because the state, they've handed over discovery. Amber says this would be a case of what not to do on the prosecution side. How so? That's interesting. Just trying to get caught up in chat here, guys. So it looks like they arrested Andrew Baldwin, according to the screen. My goodness. I'm telling you. Yes, Mrs. Steve would absolutely agree with you about his eyes. Reminds me of OJ's judge. Maybe mannerisms. Did you see? Have you seen a case where the Supreme Court had to step in? No, I have. I was never involved in any case that the Supreme Court had to step in during the trial or even after the trial. He has some kind of stare. He has it in a couple of them. Well, actually, three of them. All three on the left. Those eyes are set. And so the one on the bottom right, but the ones, the three to the left, they're all pretty well the 1,000-yard stare. I think I'd go with that. The hearings will come, and now that we've got this, yes. The fence has tried to push every button to force a mistrial, and I think this delay gives them more time to continue to try. I'm telling you, I agree with you. We need Judge Judy. Man, that would be a show, wouldn't it? Gail Hurd, gifted One True Crime Web membership. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, just trying to get caught up. She denies. Well, there's case law, and if she does deny something that they're entitled to, absolutely, there's going to be an appeal. But they have to make it relevant. If they can't make it relevant, then it can be denied all day long. And Olivia, too, has been a member for 13 months. Thank you. Appreciate your support. We'll have a members thing tomorrow evening, actually, for the detectives and the commanders. I've seen a judge kick a lawyer out and found them in contempt because his phone went off twice. We had pagers that would go off, and that tells you how long ago that was. But luckily, we didn't have the the phones. Of course, we had bag phones, but not anybody carried them in the courthouse. That was later on in my career that the bag phones were out and about. When is court? Court's going to be October. Well, they'll have hearings between now and October and November, but the actual trial itself is currently scheduled from mid-October to mid-November. I don't know if you're talking about this case or not, but no. Amber says they say RA is the only guy. No way unless it's planted. Once again, I don't know what was planted. I don't know about reducing the witness list unless there are just ones that don't make sense. Yeah, they went from 100 down to 40 something. And that does that. Why would you do that? I don't know. A witness is a witness. That confuses me. I understand that. That is absolutely correct, Sensei. I appreciate and love everyone for being here. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what our channel does for the cold cases. Yeah, I can't wait, but I think it's going to have something to do with his confessions. What did Banner send? No, I don't think he will. Let's see. Correctional LA. Maybe Judge Gull didn't hold Rosie in contempt because that's what he wanted. The defense loves milking anything they can for sympathy. I just hope that it doesn't continue to get worse, because right now it doesn't appear anyone has respect for each other. Makes no sense to me. Stacy's mom, Steve, do you think Richard Allen will ask for a plea deal? I think we're as close to it right now as ever. Like I said, as bad as I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to agree with Ruckus on this point, for the fact that the attorneys being angry and being frustrated is not a good sign for the client. That's just from my experience and from my time in court. When I saw a mad attorney, it was because it wasn't going well for their client. If I saw a mad prosecutor, it wasn't going well for the state. And so if you have mad defense attorneys, it's not going well for your client. Kelsey, he stole your hat too. I'm trying to think. I didn't give him a hat. But he wears ball caps. Hi, Steve. Do you anticipate this trial going 2 weeks to convict Richard Allen? The only problem that I don't believe we'll ever know if he had any accomplices. I think the prosecution, if they were ready to do it in 2 weeks now, they'll be able to ready to do it in 2 weeks. Then will be enough to convict. We'll still have to wait and see. But I believe that the state will, unless there's some new evidence and another line of experts coming to the trial, I don't think you would extend past the 2 weeks, but we'll just have to see. And I agree now, if there's other accomplices, that's something that would absolutely upset the apple cart. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That if they bring forth any accomplices, then that might put a new angle on the trial, and we may not even see a trial then until next year for sure. Because if they do find any accomplices, I don't think we're going to be going to court this year. I agree with you, JDR. I'm absolutely amazed that, but we see it often that they have the suspect in the early days and he slips through, and that's what happened here. If he is the one. If you say hi to Nightbot, is that weird? Yes. Or you got a crush on Nightbot? Cynthia, good to see you. Oh, I've seen plea deals even when a jury was impaneled. I've seen plea deals happen. At the last moment, we're ready to go to trial, and then out of nowhere. Solar Chef, good to see you. Audrey says, what do you think the damaging evidence that McClellan wants to stay sealed? I think it has something to do with confession. Just my opinion, but we'll see. I hope it's more. I absolutely would hope it was DNA. If it's DNA at the crime scene, we got to plea. If the state would allow it, if it's something that is absolutely something that is a nail in the coffin, and I hope it's more than just a confession. I hope it is something that that will come out of left field that no one anticipated to see, something as huge as DNA. I really do, but I don't know. Hello, Junior. Good to see you. Your Google machine smarter than you also? Red Queen. And Frank was at the trial today. I think he had Kristen and Ruckus hosting this show while he was there today. And he, when he walked out, I think he mentioned that he thought that they were going to hold the defense attorneys in contempt. Yeah, I absolutely do. I think that the case has cracked, Rosie. I think that when your defense attorneys are getting upset, and because when you're frustrated, you're not in your normal state of mind. Frustration is not what you normally do in a normal day. When you get to that point, your mind is just beating, bouncing off of every possibility, and you can't have. Your thought process is weakened, and I think that's what's happening. I sent Ruckus a short, old, used one. Junior says, I think defenses realize they're not going to get away with a clown show. It's a clown show right now. Absolutely. I don't think that no matter what they've planned to do, has it ever got past the first few hours. And this is a good point. If he was totally innocent and the state, regardless of what evidence the state had, if you're totally, absolutely innocent, then, bring those points and say, hey, it's impossible to convict me for the fact the evidence is false. Hello, Love to Hunt. Good to see you. Todd. Now that you're leaning towards the possibility of a plea, does that mean Ruckus is smarter than you asking for a friend? Absolutely. Ruckus is far more intelligent than I. But he has no friends. And he make, you know, I mean, how smart can I be that if I ask him to go help me with uh, some cold cases and I become his Sherpa and have to carry his man purse and his everything for him. So absolutely, he won that chess game. So what happens if a trial runs longer than originally expected? How often does it happen? It happens a lot. The problem with long trials is that the court has to be prepared if they're sequestered, and a lot of things can happen during long trials. You can run out of jurors, so typically you make preparations and you have enough alternate jurors. If something happens, someone gets sick, you're anticipating a short trial, and you have older or you have people that are in bad health, or they have family members in bad health, that things happen. And when those things happen and you start losing jurors, if it's too long of a trial, um, it instantly puts you in a position of a mistrial. Oh yeah, I think there's going to be some books and movies come out of this. Yes, as much as I hate to agree. I rode with him for thousands of miles, and I don't think we ever agreed on much of anything. I don't think I've ever heard that. When facts are on your side, pound the facts. If the law is on your side, pound the law. If neither is on your side, pound the table. Well, you better be careful what table it is in what courtroom. I absolutely. He's starting to look like Baldwin. Absolutely. Gonna get you a true crime web apron. I have no idea what Mrs. Steve has out there. And this could be it. Apparently, during his meeting with Delphi investigators before he arrested, RA made incriminating statements, thoughts. They could have went through those transcripts, looked at it, and while they thought originally he made some incriminating, and then when you look at it, um, because a lot of times what happens whenever you're doing interviews, that key points are brought up, and if you don't have it structured in a exact manner, LE, some investigators during interviews may get sidetracked and miss what was said. Been there, seen it, of where you miss a cue of where someone might say something that just went right over your head and someone else caught it. And but through the transcripts, you'll see that, you'll go through them, you'll mark them, and you'll say, oh, how did he know that? And if it's something that is critical, absolutely, that could be a possibility. Gail Hurd, gifted one True Crime Web membership. Again, thank you. Appreciate your support. K Music Taylor, good to see you. Mr. Steve, they're still taking tips in this case. Is that normal in a homicide investigation? Absolutely. It's not a problem. You're always open for new evidence. Thank you, Carol. That's very kind of you. Barbara Hall, good to see you. Oh, let's not get out of control here, guys. Ruckus is a genius. Ruckus couldn't stay awake long enough to take an IQ test. I've seen him. I've never rode with him. That during our conversation, he'd go 10 minutes and then fall asleep. Can you give a brief synopsis of what happened today? I've been traveling since early this morning. Yes, everybody showed up at court this morning. It became a clown show. Everything that we was hoping to occur next week is not going to occur due to some of the clowns' acts. I kept it brief, but that's pretty much what happened. It's turned into a clown show once again. Oh man. Hello, Steelers fan. Good to see you. Wouldn't those incriminating statements be mentioned right after the arrest? Then those incriminating statements can be made on any phone call, could be made to any inmate, could be made to any uh, jail personnel, investigator, during a phone call. I mean, there's so many potentials of statements being made and being recorded. So I don't know what it is, but whatever they have, and what's the time frame of when it was realized and when it was said, was it common knowledge? I mean, I think there's a huge amount of possibilities up there. Drunk Turkey Show. What's up, Stephen Crew? Do you think the defense having the court date moved back looks better, worse, or indifferent for Richard Allen? I think it's going to hurt Richard Allen because the state is ready. Time is on the side of the state. There's still stuff to be, I know you may think that the timeline of as far as stuff at the crime scene being processed, it's been processed. They have the hairs, the fibers, whatever DNA, but they may be still having the ability to go and look at some of the clothing and the sticks and other things that's collected from the crime scene, and then going back and that. But we do have Richard Allen's house that would, we're looking at things for 2 years, and you're thinking that, well, everything can be tested in 2 years. Probably so, but there's advancements in technologies every day, guys. And so could there be an advancement for DNA? Yes. And so time is on the side for the state, and I think the case is just going to get stronger for them. Good question, not Drunk Turkey Show. That's Daniel. I think that would be Daniel. I don't know. I guess that's Daniel, unless it's one of his co-hosts. I'm guessing Ruckus is Steve's dog. Now, Ruckus is, I like my dog a lot better than Ruckus. Corey England, good to see you. Thank you. That's interesting. Defense is in no hurry for the client. They want paid and don't care for client. That's interesting. All righty, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you would, give it a thumbs up, share it. Oh, look here. Gail Hurd gifted another membership. Thank you. Appreciate that. And but let me get back over here. And once again, if y'all have any information regarding this case, make sure law enforcement has that. I'm going to be on the road in just a few hours, and but tomorrow evening I'll have the member meeting for our commanders and detectives. So I look forward to seeing y'all there. Yeah, Sean, there's probably going to be some cases. And Sensei is a member for 17 months. Thanks for all you do, Steve. Thank you. Appreciate that. But anyway, guys, y'all stay safe out there. And I'll see y'all in a few days. And if y'all don't, also much respect to Barbara Hall. If you don't know anything about Barbara Hall, go look up Timmy D's case. This Barbara Hall is his mother, and absolutely, I have utmost respect for her. But look up that case and give as much support and thoughts and prayers as you can to her and her family. Thank you, and y'all stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon, guys.